Festive Books on Tape present The Year Everyone Forgot About Father Christmas. Chapter 1, Letters to Santa. In a certain time, in a certain land, once there lived and once there was a man called Santa Claus. He lived in the snowy North Pole, in a wood-carved cluster of a village decorated with ribbons and light. Within, the elves worked tirelessly day and night, crafting toys for the children of the world to be delivered personally to every girl and every boy by none other than Santa Claus himself. Look, here he comes now.
Ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, ho. I've finished on the toilet. How busy my little elves look to be! Show me, show me, show me do! What did you make while I popped to the loo?
I've made a rocking horse.
Yes, I suppose it is rather good. And you, what have you made?
Say so.
I've seen all of them, they're rubbish. Well, it's almost Christmas Day! The only thing for it is to read through all of the children's letters and find out what they all want for Christmas. Someone bring me the first sackful, I'll begin at once.
But no sack was forthcoming.
Oh, come on, where are the letters?
We don't have any.
What? Not any?
Sorry about that.
This is most perplexing. I wonder what could have happened. I'm sure if we just wait here a few moments longer, some letters will start to arrive. Yes, I'm sure that's what we should do.
And so Santa waited until it was time to go to bed, and the elves all disappeared one by one to their little elfy beds, and still Santa waited. And as the lamps flickered out around him, still he waited for the children's letters to arrive. And they didn't. Festive Books on Tape present The Year Everyone Totally Forgot All About Father Christmas. Chapter 2, Christmas Snow. Santa Claus was at a loss. None of the little boys and girls had written to him this year. He consulted his elves to find out what the problem might be.
I don't understand it. The children never forget about Christmas.
Well, according to our research, they now live in a vast and frenetic world, with content on demand and information updated around the clock. It's possible they just don't have the capacity to think about the future anymore.
What?
Only the immediate present has any meaning to them.
Oh, but that's dreadful. You mean they don't even know it's nearly Christmas?
No, well, I mean to say, the changing climate has all but ended the white winter of the past. That used to herald the season.
Can't we do anything about that?
Perhaps if it were to snow, nice and thick, picturesque, that might get them in the right frame of mind.
Can we do that?
I'll have the boys whip something up.
The elves got out their whisks and whipped up the snow around the workshop, flinging the flakes back up into the air to fall on the world all day and night. It snowed everywhere, and Santa felt sure that that would remind the children to write to him. All night and all the next day he waited, while in the outside world the snows began gradually to melt. No letters came. But still Santa waited, hoping that they were merely delayed. But they weren't. It's just that nobody cared about him anymore. Festive Books on Tape present The Time the Children All Forgot About Father Christmas, and He Was Sad. Chapter 3, The Christmas Twister. Santa Claus was trudging about despondently outside in his biggest coat, watching the snowflakes whirl about over the roof of the grotto. Then he thought of something.
Perhaps that's why I haven't got any letters this year. Maybe the wind is so strong it's blowing them right past my chimney instead of down into it.
He called together the elves, who were busy making toys. For some reason, even though clearly nobody wanted them.
Elves, my theory is that I reckon the letters are getting blown away by the wind before they get to us. What can we do?
Well, that's never been a problem before. There's always been a pretty straight magical conveyance of letters to
Is
our...
that you arguing with me again? Is
No.
that what we're doing?
No, sir. I'll get on to it.
No, it's just that it sounded like you were being all negative again and just arguing with me just 'cause.
Sorry, sir. I just think...
I just think it's better not to be really negative all the time. In the grotto?
Sir.
And the elves went away and thought about the problem. And in the end, they came up with the idea of setting up a big whirlwind over the top of the North Pole, with its tip pointing down their chimney so that any letters would get caught in the vortex and pulled down. They sent the reindeer up into the sky over the grotto, and the reindeer at the front bit onto the tail of the reindeer at the back, and they went whizzing round and round in the sky in a big ring until a gigantic whirlwind appeared. Some of the elves hadn't been sure whether that would work, whether that's how air currents behave in real life, but it did work.
Ah, now the letters should start to arrive at any moment.
And there Santa stood, waiting. He waited, but no letters came. He waited some more, still no letters. And then he waited some more, wondering whether the whirlwind had malfunctioned, for surely the children couldn't possibly have not written to him this year. Not to spoil it or anything, but the kids really hadn't written any letters, and they don't write any. Deliberately. Festive Books on Tape present The Time Father Christmas Was Completely Forgotten and Unloved by Children. Chapter 4, Santa's Lament. Santa Claus was in a bit of a muddle. Ordinarily, the world's children could hardly wait for Christmas, but this year they didn't seem to be interested in it at all. Why wouldn't they write to him? He couldn't understand it. You should have seen his face.
I just don't get it. What did I do? I must admit this whole thing is making me feel rather...
happy.
I mean, if nobody's interested in what I do at all, well then, is it really worth doing it? Perhaps I should just...
Continue.
while I'm ahead.
He paced about a bit, thinking very hard.
I don't understand it. Don't they like me anymore? I've made such an effort to be fair. I've been very lenient with the naughty list this year. I've taken into consideration both sides of every story. I even set up that courtroom that time and held a full trial with jury. You remember that?
Yes, sir. I shouldn't imagine the little girl in question is likely to forget it too quickly
It was
either.
the fairest we've ever been. She couldn't say we weren't fair. I mean, the eventual execution was a shame, but it was reached fairly. Oh, I don't know. I used to think I was loved, you see. But this year, I'm having my doubts. Maybe I am. Or maybe I'm... What do you think?
I think perhaps it isn't something you should think about when you've been on the eggnog, sir. Put your feet up, have a snooze, and by morning the whole thing will seem a lot brighter, you'll see.
Yes, perhaps. Perhaps I will.
But Santa would soon find that this year the whole thing
Was
brighter at all. Because this, after all, was the year the children forgot
Cared.
about Father Christmas.